Before Desolation. The Secret Chronicle of Trolls. Part 1. Trolls are from the deep ancient times that most of us don't know anything about. However, the truth is that from the beginning of time, everything that's happened has been recorded and preserved in the Aether. What is the Aether, you might ask? I'll go more into it in a later video. But for the time being, let's call it an invincible fluid that connects us all and has the ability to preserve data. One must take into consideration that the past has some fluidity to it, though changes are very weak and amounts for the most part to the changing of words, colors, expressions, and the meaning and results remains. This information is available for everyone who seeks it. Your brain is a receiver of knowledge, and if you learn to connect to the Aether, you too can access this information and more. In this video series, I'll discuss the tragedy of the trolls and the ancient world. This chapter is called Before Desolation. Let's begin. At the dawn of time as we know it, this was a dark world. Everything that existed was self-illuminating beings upon a dark foundation of water and mushy ground. What we now know as hard and lifeless rocks were at one time living creatures habituating the driest places on a lightless plain of ice and pockets of dust and clay. The firmament did not yet exist, and there were no stars, moon, and no sun. The world was inverted, and all light was living within, and there was nothing to see, and no eyes needed for any creature. All sentient beings knew the sacredness of the meaning and existence, that everything was originated from a singular source, and the preserving and containing of light provided meaning and mindfulness. And the world continued on for millennia in darkness and trembled before the source of consciousness and the will of the spirit, and the interpretation of its name means whole eye, enclosure of all light, commander of the elements, the Most High, and in our time known as Holy, 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 Holy. Then came the great unrest. In the shadow of absence from the Eternal One, the elements conspired to disconnect from El. The awareness of creation became like anarchy of self-powering systems, but to no avail. The almighty Whole Eye came forth from his dwelling place, and with a flash of a lightning, causing the El revolt. A decree came forth from the Eternal One that the world in an instant should be turned and inverted. Inside was to become outside, and up to become down. The whole world became chaos and void. And the spirit of Holai moved over the waters, and by the vibrating commandment, all light was drawn out from enclosed containers, and it defeated the darkness and separated from it. Oneness became duality, as Holai made the firmament, separating the primal waters below from the immaterial waters above. Every living thing on the plane was exposed to the light, now shining onto from the outside. Their internal lights went up to the firmament, and the great rift became their sanctuary. Only few escaped. The creatures that lived in the deep waters, under the dry plains, and in caves sheltered from light. Monsters, giants, and trolls that roamed the dark plain gave up their light and became grey mountains and boulders with fragments of their bodies and faces frozen in time, for all the children of the new creation to see and marvel. Was it not for the dark, hollow places in the earth, they would all be turned. But the Aether remained, and through visions and dreams, the old creation became stories, legends, and myths.